Okay, here we go.
Cool.
So a big topic these days in therapy is what are these emotions that keep appearing in my life? So the line in Buddhist teaching is very unique, how they very systematically explain how emotions are developed so that we can understand how to use them to our advantage and how to control them when they're not to our advantage. So that's what we'll talk about. First thing to understand is that emotions can feel like brick walls or nightmares sometimes because they're so intense. But they're actually not solid or permanent at all. They're not like a brick wall, they're more like a river, constantly in motion. And I'm going to give you copies of all these notes. So everybody's got them. Emotions are what adds spice to life. I mean, finding your love of your life is not a mundane experience. It's got its electrifying qualities. There has to be juice, has to be energy. I can imagine Leonardo being asked by the Pope to paint the Sistine Chapel, and he would say, if he had no emotions, he would say, "Oh, I'll get to it, but I've got a lot of other paint jobs to do first." Right? No response, nothing vivid. So the truth is that emotions are stories that your mind makes up in order to, in an attempt to explain your feelings. They're like fictions we make up. But they oftentimes carry messages, advisements, what you should look for, what you should avoid. If you pay attention to them, they become very, very educational. And they can be a lot of fun. So you think about yourself as an emotional person. Could you explain you are very emotional, not too emotional, cautiously emotional, or extravagant, or what? How would you describe yourself?
Oh, I make decisions based upon my emotions.
Oh, you do?
Oh yeah, and many times they're wrong.
Oh, that's good. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you said that. That's going to add flavor to this. Yeah. Well, we don't know when an emotion comes up where it's going to lead. If we don't learn how to handle that, it could be trouble. But let's think about the history of it in the Buddhist tradition. The word emotions is nowhere in the Pali literature. Doesn't exist. Nowhere. There are only 3 words that relate to feelings, and it refers to feelings in the physical body. You can have a pleasant feeling, an unpleasant feeling, or a feeling that's neither pleasant nor unpleasant. It's neutral. So Buddha called these states of mind. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling so-so. If you go through time and look for the word emotions, you get to Shakespeare. He does not once, ever, use the word emotions in his writing. Instead, he illustrates the character's emotions by their behavior. That becomes the way we know that we're having an emotion, because we behave according to that emotion. So we act it out. I was thinking of Hamlet. here's this poor kid, his father's been killed, these bad guys are about to come get him, and he stands there and says, whether to be or not to be, that's the question. He's like, he's not pleasant, unpleasant, or he was just confused. I prefer to call that unpleasant. He was in turmoil. Well, keep going through time, and the word emotions does not appear in the Oxford English Dictionary until 1848. It's amazing. Now, Buddha, we know, did not speak Latin.
Oh.
He didn't write anything. So the emotions, if he had known anything about Latin, but then he would have had to wait, 1,000 years, he would have found that the word emotions is a French word, or Latin word, emovere, meaning to push out or to show. So there you have it. You can see a person's emotions by how they speak and act. When you go to let's say, Trader Joe's, and you're in line, you get your turn at the counter, and the pretty girl says, "How was your day? How are you doing today?" What do most people say? They go, "Fine, okay, good." It's not saying anything. That's just like, It's just like a social screen. Because you don't say what you really feel.
Right.
Well, like when the girl said, "So what's the big deal with the beard?" And I looked at her. She was one of these. And I almost made a joke. But I thought better of it. I was saying, "Yeah, and what's with the, anyway, adornments?" That would have been cruel. So, we're stuck with this word that gradually becomes popular over time. Like Shakespeare, most dramatic. So, all his characters are extreme in their behavior. And that's why it's entertaining. It adds spice. So, we can think about then what the Buddhists describe as the process of how an emotion displays itself. And because the body is the first foundation of mindfulness, to figure out how emotions fit, we look at rupa, which is body. The body is what you experience with. If you didn't have a body, you would have no senses.
Mm-hmm.
You've got those 6 sense doors that let things in, and you perceive them. Mm-hmm. So there's a pattern. So rupa is when you first notice an experience. I'm having an experience. I don't know quite what it is, but I'm having it. So you move from rupa to vedana, and vedana means feeling, tone, or flavor. And that's where you get those 3 states of mind: pleasant, unpleasant, or neither. That's feeling, tones in the body, and we think, okay, this feeling is part of me, or I wouldn't be having it. This is me.